we can look at all these charts without taking up gigabytes and gigabytes of RAM. This is only going to take up 100 or 2 megabytes of RAM, even with all these charts. And that's why we can do this, and you couldn't do this with TradingView. You couldn't have this many charts open. So here's what I wanted to show you. Okay, let's just get right to it. So Bitcoin is forming this very low area shark fin here. This helps you to see things clearly. It's just the closes every 2 hours, closes, and that should help your trading. It helped mine a ton. Okay, and I got away from just using candlestick charts. So I saw some interesting things in crypto recently that I wanted to share with you. So we're going to do a nice overview of gold related to Bitcoin, ETH related to Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, BNB, and SUI. Okay, so let's go over them. We're going to look at the 1 week chart, the 3 day, the 1 day, the 2 hour all together. And what we're going to do is look at the candles. Okay, I have it right here. And we're going to look at the algo view, okay, which is this chart right here. And we're going to also look at some reversal ideas and Traders Dynamic Index. Now, this is smartmoneycharts.com. If you haven't gone there, go ahead, take a visit. It's free. It's free to sign up, and you'll be able to get the multi-time frame view with multi-asset view. So you can see here we have 4 different assets, and I'm going to add some indicators to it as well. You can see there's some indicators on these charts already, and we'll go over them. Okay, so let's take a look at gold first. Obviously, it's pumping, hasn't really quit. Now, what's interesting is the gold to Bitcoin ratio, which is something I mentioned in other videos. And here's Bitcoin, so we can see them all together, which is cool. That's allows us to do a multi-asset correlation to increase our probability of winning, being right in our direction ideas, okay, and reducing risk by looking at multiple assets together, which you can do on 4K monitor, which this is on smartmoneycharts.com, and you can do it with stocks, cryptos, gold, currencies, ETFs. There's a large list, and this is how you do it. You could just click on the settings, and you could just choose the timeframes and the assets that you want to see, some different indicators, and you get these signals down across the bottom. So let's get into the analysis. So gold's been going up, no surprise. Okay, Bitcoin has had a retrace. Okay, and what I've done is I've used these up and down sorting, which you can also drag and drop to align it so that the gold, PAXG, the crypto gold, and Bitcoin are between them. So we can make a little bit more, see a little deeper into this relationship. And when it might reverse, that's really what we're looking at. We're looking at this relationship, and that's what this is. Okay, it's oscillation between gold winning versus Bitcoin winning. And what I find interesting is that, so Bitcoin's down, okay, gold's had a bit of a pump, and so you'd expect that this ratio would be up. Now, you have these wicks here, and you have these indicators here, these triangular down red indicators showing that these wicks, if you didn't know, over 50% wicks. Okay, and so in this case, this would be one reversal indicator. What you want to do is put multiples together to get an idea of when something might reverse against something else. And again, these both can go up, but this ratio is basically which one is going up at a given time. Okay, and so this is the weekly. So each one of these is a weekly close price or the weekly range. Okay, not everybody knows that. So, and then we've got this 3 day, the 1 day, the 2 hour, even the 15-minute chart. Okay, and what I think is interesting is these topping tail wicks right here. Okay, on the weekly, and you can see that Bitcoin has gotten down to a negative 1.1 standard deviation z-score. Okay, below the 50 MA, this blue line. Okay, so its value area. It's getting into a value area here, and you can see that it flipped the super trend, and it's down this around this. It got some support around this 50% high to low range for the last 2 years. Okay, so if you were to buy it now, you're getting it for the range, okay, of whatever 26,000 to 122,000. You're getting it at a big discount. Not quite half off, but you know it was about half off for a week. A day or two back then, a couple weeks ago. Okay, so this is the value of the weekly is and the comparing the multiple assets together in and this particular ratio is that it could be that this is an area where people start to go from risk off gold to risk on. And by people, I mean the big institutions. They're what moves the market. All right. And if we want to look at all three of these together on a little bit lower time frame, like the 3-day chart, we can see that we had a negative 3.5 standard deviation. That's huge. Okay. And when we had that here, it came back down a lot. So it's already come back down from 2 above the 50 MA down to a 3. Now it's negative 1.6. Okay. It's not 2, but almost. And so maybe we'd be looking for a reversal up on Bitcoin, possibly some support. Let's see what the daily says. Okay, we hit this Watson volatility band. This is the upper, green is the lower. Okay, and you can see how the price often goes between this volatility range, and it's just tagged the bullish bottom Watson band. So again, another idea of support. All right. Yeah, so I think relative to gold, Bitcoin's a value. Now let's take a look at the TDI. Let's just turn the TDI on, and then we'll get into some of these other cryptos like ETH, Sol, BNB, and SUI. And you see how nice that is that you can just scroll these charts and reorder them if you want. Okay, that's a feature that I built into smartmoneycharts.com, so you can do multi-asset correlations fast, and then go do what you want. And this will refresh every 5 minutes, by the way. So if you leave it open on your 4K Smart TV browser, which you can do, or 4K TV hooked up to your laptop, or just your laptop screen, this is going to reload every 5 minutes. These charts are updated all the time. These signals, real-time signals that are just getting processed, okay, by my different servers in the cloud. Yeah, producing these images for you so that we can look at all these charts without taking up gigabytes and gigabytes of RAM. This is only going to take up 102 megabytes of RAM, even with all these charts. And that's why we can do this. And you couldn't do this with TradingView. You can have this many charts open. And if you want more detailed, precise, zoomed in view with some other indicators, then you should use TradingView. Maybe have TradingView open on the side and this open on the other side. That's what I do. So another thing that I want to go over is just the momentum, because we talked about some reversal ideas. So obviously gold bullish on all of the time frames. You can see that here. Okay, the ratio, right? It's starting to fade, right? Against gold into Bitcoin's favor. Okay, but gold still has this longer time frame bullish momentum, but that takes longer to flip. Okay, and Bitcoin has all this bearish momentum here, and you can see a lot of things here in these indicators on the side, the summary panel next to each asset. And so you can see on different time frames that you may not be looking at, it'll still let you know. You can get an idea of what might be happening at these other time frames too, and possibly open one. So this is an example of an MA cross, a bearish. This is a bullish cross on a 4-hour chart, yeah, of momentum. And here you can see these are the Watson volatility range bands being hit. Okay, that's that right there. It's at or above, and you can see the standard deviation from the 50 MA. In this case, it's high too for gold. Okay, so let's just take a look at something I want to show you that's interesting. Okay, that's about to complete. I don't think the algorithms have really detected it yet, or maybe some predictive ones are starting to look at it, which is why it's worth noting for you. Okay, so we'll just enable the TDI indicator. And so now we have one more indicator with all of these assets. But we can still see on a 4K 3 different assets together, even with 2 charts and an indicator. All these time frames, pretty cool. So here's what I wanted to show you. Okay, let's just get right to it. So Bitcoin is forming this very low area shark fin here, you see. It hasn't completed yet. In another week, we could be seeing a cross up. Okay, and that would be a shark fin, a bullish shark fin. It's just the description, the name of this pattern on the Traders Dynamic Index. And you could see that when we've gotten there before, the last time, okay, boom, we had a real nice run. And so that's one thing that I wanted to point out to you. Okay, and nobody knows where it's going to go, but you can see that there's the super trend right there. It always gives you an indication of where price likes to go back to, like gravitate to. You see how it just keeps gravitating back to here, right? It flipped it. Sometimes it will. Okay, so let's take a look at this PAX-G Bitcoin, the gold Bitcoin ratio. And you can see that last time it was up here and it formed this bearish shark fin. That's what it's doing. It's popping up out of this Bollinger Band, these blue lines on the TDI. It's about to come in. It could keep going up, but this is an interesting idea for a reversal. And again, you've got these bearish wicks. So that it's an indication. It's another indication leaning towards that a little bit more risk on Bitcoin. It could be something to be considering. Let's take a look at some of these others. Okay, so there's a bear divergence on the 2 hour, right, starting to form. It's just an example. For divergences, I think that you want to look at or give more weight to the daily, the 3-day, and the weekly. You can see here on the gold Bitcoin ratio how strong that divergence was as soon as it was formed. And you had these bullish wick candles, and it was very low, right? It was like 2.5. Boom, you had a huge pump. So these are powerful. When you spot them, you can see that in 2 years there was only one. So when it comes up, it's worth looking at. Now the 3-day, you're going to get the same indicator, but with more resolution. You're going to see more of these. Now there's not too much to say here, although just to show off that this bull divergence on the 3-day, very powerful, took off. Okay, and that was this area right here where the weekly also showed a bullish divergence. Okay, and then here's another one that the weekly didn't pick up. This is why another reason why you want to do multi-time frame with indicators, because the indicators tell you a lot when you're looking at multiple time frames together. You'll see something here that you just did not see or wouldn't have detected with that indicator here or and algorithms. So anyway, that was one of the biggest pumps in the last 2 years, right off of that divergence on the TDI. It's pretty cool. And of course, there was a momentum change right here. It was just flipping back and forth, and it was very low, and then boom, you had a divergence momentum flip, and that's why these are colored green, these closes. Okay. Right. So okay, so that's gold, PAX-G, Bitcoin ratio, and Bitcoin. Let's take a look at scroll down a little bit. We'll keep Bitcoin in view, and we'll look at ETH, Bitcoin ratio, and Ethereum. Okay, which is the biggest altcoin. Scroll it down. Okay, so okay, so Ethereum, huge discount. It's at the 618 on the weekly. Okay, and it's no surprise that it pumped a little bit from there. Yeah. ETH Bitcoin ratio also this 786 area for the range. No surprise. It's pumping from there. Okay, now you guys, if you spend more time looking at these and maybe assets that you pick that you like or more interested in, you'll see things that I'm not even going to have time to look at and go over in today's video. Here's another interesting example of these divergences, how they play out. Right, this big one right here from this point to this point, that's what started this whole pump for Ethereum, right? 2.8K to 3.4. You had this this big negative z-score on the -4 and 2.9 on Ethereum, at the bottom of the Nadary-Watson channel for the daily. So this is superimposed. These dotted Nadary-Watson red and green lines are the daily, but superimposed over the 2-hour chart. And the 2-hour chart has its own. So you get a multi-time frame perspective of the Nadary-Watson volatility range on the 2-hour chart, which is pretty cool. And I don't know if you like that. Comment below if you'd like to see that on some other time frames. Which ones you'd like to see mixed together. But it really is interesting to see how it goes between the Nadary-Watson on the 2-hour and then within the daily Nadary-Watson. You know, the price range between there, and you can get some great trade ideas just between those two, which I do. Okay, so that's a little bit about Ethereum. Obviously there's a little momentum on the 15-minute. Okay, which it's dangerous to use, but that a low time frame like that, but you know, higher frequency day traders are going to want to look at that, I think, and that's why it's there. It's all bearish momentum, but also on the 2-hour you have a price crossing the 50 MA on the 2-hour, but it's forming a shark fin. That's an example of a shark fin right there. Okay, on the 2-hour, and you can see that. See it coming up here and then coming back down through the Bollinger Bands of the TDI on the 2-hour. Yeah. So that's an example of how this indicator will let us know where to look, when to look. Okay. And of course you get these signals down here too, but I find that this summary is super valuable for scanning, scrolling through assets that you like, just get an idea of what is going on. And you can look at that once a week, once a day, a few times a day. Okay, that's what I do. That's what I'd recommend. Especially if you're looking for what you want to get into in any given week. You know, as you get your paycheck or you have some cash on the side ready to go, and you look for something, you would be a lot wiser to scan the different assets and get an idea of what's going on, right? And wait for the right timing. Okay, and then you're going to have a much better risk to reward ratio than just guessing, which is what a lot of people do. I'm not saying you do it, but a lot of people do. So this takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. I think that the algo view chart that gives you more indicators on the chart itself with the momentum coloring, it takes a lot of the emotion out of things. Okay, these candlesticks, most people lose when they just use candlesticks, even with indicators, right? Something like 80-90% studied lose money over time. And these candlesticks are gamified now. They're really just being toyed with by MIT, you know, engineers and data scientists hired by these major huge firms to you know, to trick people, especially retail traders, to confuse them, give them emotions, which and be confused and not see things clearly. This helps you to see things clearly. It's just the closes every 2 hours, closes every day, it closes every 3 days, the close of every week cycle, right? It takes the emotion out of it. You can just get a much clearer view, and that should help your trading. It helped mine a ton. Okay, and I got away from just using candlestick charts and gimmick strategies. Momentum, trends, discounts, that's what I'm all about. And I hope that that maybe can help you, and this app can help you. So that's a little bit about the app again, with a perspective on ETH and the ETH Bitcoin ratio and Bitcoin. You know, what we really want to see here is for an altcoin rally, obviously you want to see it below discount, okay, starting a new trend going up, which could be, it seems like it. Okay, support, right? Support right there. Yeah, this is just the basic fundamentals, but we're just stepping it up a notch and doing these basic fundamentals well by using multiple time frames, not avoiding it because it's too painful to click through charts, because we don't have to click through charts. They're all given to us in a row. Yeah, the ones that we choose for the time frames that we choose. Okay, and you can pick whichever one you want. You can pick both or just the candles if that's your thing, or just the closes. I like both because each one has a little bit different indicators on the chart, and by having two, it spreads out the indicators so it's not too cluttered. And if you have less time frames, these are going to be bigger charts, right? They'll have more room to expand. If you have a bigger screen, bigger. Okay, if you're on a smaller screen, maybe you're going to do a few less time frames at once. Okay, and for the cryptos, there's even an order book level too. I don't know if you knew that. If you're signed up, you have to sign up. There's no credit card needed. You can sign up, and then you'll be signed in. And then next time you visit, you'll remember all of your assets, the order, what you had running, okay, time frame wise, and chart settings and asset wise. And the next time you log in, another device or whatever, it's going to offer you the choice to just go right with what you had set up there, which is pretty cool. So you sign up, it's free. Okay. It may not be all these features free for new people next year that sign up. This is really just a promotion. I want to get to 500 YouTube subscribers, 500 app users, and until we get there, I'm offering this free promotion to this tool that will probably be $100 or $200 a month. Okay, for people that are finding out late or delay signing up until sometime next year, because there's a lot of value here. Signal scanner, multi-time frame app, they charge $100-$200 for these. So, and there's not many, if any, quite like this, in my opinion. All right, so let's take a look at some other cryptos. All right, and we can just compare them all together. I wanted to go over SUI, Solana, and BNB. So let's do that. One other thing with ETH, you see this on the TDI, that could be promising. Maybe it comes down one more time, but the point is, we're getting into a value area. That's what I think. It's just my opinion. Okay, so BNB, it's been epic in its rise, really wild, right? You had this high Z-score on the 1 week, okay, and you had this divergence. That was your clue to get out. That's where I got into shorting it. Then you had this momentum flip. You had a momentum flip starting on the daily, okay, up here in these high areas. Just way too high. All right. Now on the daily, you could see that you're getting some divergences, and you'd expect that to maybe play out. You can see these supporting bullish wick candles. Okay. Can't tell what's going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if it had support on the super trend here. Okay, and it gravitated back up, at least maybe for another small run to super trend. It's down a lot. It was at 1.3K, and right, came down to 800. Now it's at 860. Yeah, it's not my favorite crypto, but a lot of people use it and like it. It's Binance's main crypto, BNB, and it's fast. It's got a big ecosystem. Okay, so Solana, my favorite. Let's take a look at it. You've got this shark fin forming. Okay, bullish shark fin. It's about to form. Hasn't formed yet. A lot of people aren't looking at it. The algorithms aren't going to count it yet because it hasn't crossed and had one more week to be confirmed. So this is some alpha for you, right? Take a look at it. $127. Wow. That's great. And you can see that this was a support area right here. The 618 fib line, the screen line. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4 times it came back here and was bought and came up. On the 3-day, we get a little better look on the 2-year range. Yeah, it actually did come down to here. You had this nice support. 786. That's big discount. Thinking about the highs to the lows. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so on the daily, you've got you came down here once, right? And then it came back down here again on the bottom of the Nadaria Watson. That would be another consideration, another combination for you for a bullish reversal. All right, let's go over SUI, SUI. So you could see, interestingly, that it actually started to rally a little bit earlier than Solana did. Yeah, it led it, and it followed through a lot. This was a big money maker for a lot of people. It had this one up and down formation, whereas Solana had this double top, right? So this is a 3-day. There was your momentum change right there. Yeah. And when it crossed the weekly 50, right? Momentum change. It's time to short for sure. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, so on the 2-hour chart, right? Beginning of December, you had this very low uh, Z score in terms of just being far away and below the 50 MA, and then it had a nice little rally back up. But really, it's just been in this range here for weeks. Okay, it's altcoin. Altcoins are risky. This one has promise. That's why people like it. And you can see that it has this bullish shark fin on the weekly. It's already starting to cross up. Okay, just like we saw with Bitcoin, like we're starting to see with Solana, uh, SUI. And you might see that on some other ones too. Okay, you can see BNB starting to do that as well, right? I think I mentioned that already. So that is the main thing that I wanted people to look at is people don't look at the weekly. I want to bring it up. You've got these bullish shark fins forming on the weekly for Bitcoin, BNB, Solana, SUI. Uh, I'm thinking probably a good sign is a reversal or it's going to be real soon. Okay, and historically in other years, this time also has been when they've run things down to and then run things back up from. December, January area. Okay, the calendar. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. Go to smartmoneycharts.com. Yeah, sign up. It's free. The quick start will let you just choose areas that you like of different asset classes. You could pick multiple ones. You could pick a different time frame. That would get you started with a few time frame charts, right? Are you investor, swing trader, scalper? A couple indicators, and then start analysis. Okay, and you'll get this page that refreshes every 5 minutes. All right, with the prices, the signals, the charts. So enjoy, go, sign up. I want to see you sign up. Comment below if you like it, what you like, maybe what you don't like. Okay, maybe some ideas that you have or some assets you'd like to be reviewed, at least in the crypto space. Okay, and if now in another video, I'll be covering some of the stocks. This one I just wanted to be about cryptos because I know a lot of people are interested in just that. All right, so have a great week. Good luck with your trading and investing, and hopefully I'll see you again soon.